Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. And we're doing something a bit different today. We have never done this before, so who knows how it's going to turn out. But come along with us for the ride for the next hour. And for those of you who are eagle-eyed, you'll notice that we're joined by three willing participants today. You are all willing, aren't you? Nod. Yeah, you are all willing. Yes, thank you. So we have Alifa, we have Ian, we have Paul, who have, I'm really grateful for, because you guys have volunteered to have your websites reviewed live on air. Don't think Abby needed to twist your arm too much to get you on, and hopefully you get something out of this session too. But that's what we're going to do today. We're going to have a little bit about theory about websites, and then we're going to break down three live on air and see where this takes us. So it should be a fun hour. Dan, do you want to start with your usual housekeeping, if that's okay?
Yes, I certainly do. So welcome to another Yardstick webinar. So as Phil alludes to, this one's an exciting one. We're doing stuff live on the air. What could go wrong? Well, luckily we don't have any animals in today's show, so we're not going to see Phil get attacked by a kestrel or chased by an ostrich. At least I don't think we are. But while we're taking a slightly different format today, a few things remain the same. So the usual webinar safe space rules exist. So you can use the chat box or the Q&A section to add your comments and questions, which means that if you agree with what we're saying, let us know. And if you disagree with what we're saying, then definitely let us know. We're all here to learn and grow, so get involved and have your say. There's no such thing as a daft question, I promise you that. If you're thinking it, somebody else definitely will be. And as usual, we're going to be recording the session, so I guess if an ostrich does get into Phil's office, then you get to replay it later. So there's that. But other than that, the email follow-up with any links and resources we mention will arrive in your inbox later today. So don't worry if you miss anything the first time round. And of course, we've got our very own Abby Robinson, as usual, to thank for that. So that's enough of me and more of the ostriches. So Phil, you're live on the air. Let's review some websites.
Cheers, Dan. Thank you very much. So what are we going to do? We're going to start with just a few minutes of theory about why your website is important and 5 things that make great websites. Then we're going to go and take the screen share down or take the PowerPoint down, and we're going to share some sites. Ian, we're going to start with yours. So prepare yourself. And we're going to review those and get a bit of feedback from everybody about what we've said. But I want to start with a question. And I want you to put your answer in the chat, please. Paul, Ian, and Alifa, please put your answers in as well, and let's see how we feel. But what I want you to answer is this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your current website? And be really honest. Number 1, hate it, knock it down, and I want to start again. Abby, that's a sales opportunity for you. Number 5, it's okay, but there's plenty to improve. 10, I love it, and there's nothing I would change. So put some numbers in the chat. Claire, we need to have a chat. What have we got here? Claire, we need to have a chat. Thank you, Charlotte. 5, James 4, Lucy 10. Look forward to seeing you later, Lucy. Caroline 5, Ravenska 5, Phil 5, Louis 8, Robin 5, Jenny 2. So just a bit above hate it and knock it down and start again. What else have we got? 0. I don't know where to start, very honest. Paul, you were 7. Harry at 5, Jason 5, David 0. What have we got there from you, Ian? What did you say there? I missed that one. Depends what the day of the week it is, but a 6 or a 7. Come back to that in a bit. My wife, 8. So we'll have a conversation later about how we can get that to a 10. Let's leave that and see. We're going to do that a little bit later again and see what everybody thinks. But that's really useful. Thank you for that, guys. I appreciate you doing that. So what do you need to make a great website? And why do we need a great website first and foremost? So let's answer that question. Prospects take these days a digital journey to your door. So sat between them becoming aware of you, perhaps having been referred or recommended by an existing client, and them taking action and getting in touch is Google. And people will search for your business name they will search for your own name. And that's because they're looking you up online. And they're looking you up online generally for one of two reasons. First, they want your contact details. Second reason, they might have been recommended or be considering more than one advice firm. So they're looking you up online to decide who to get in touch with. So prospects take that digital journey to your door. And your website is usually the final step in that journey. So when they search for you online and the Google search results page comes up, hopefully you're dominated by links out to you. We've got the Google business profile and your Google reviews. Then top left, you should have your website and the site extensions. So people first get to meet you on the Google search results page and then get to know you on your website. It's usually the final destination on that journey before they decide whether to get in touch with you. So that means your website is your shop window, and it's where decisions are made. It's where people turn left and get in touch with you, or turn right and carry on looking for somewhere else. So it's where decisions are made, and you have no ability to respond at that point. Yeah, they're on your website, Sunday afternoon, Monday evening, whenever it is. They're looking around your website and they're making judgments. And you have no ability to respond to what they are thinking or what they're saying to somebody else that they're with at the time. So we've got to get websites right. And one of the big things that I talk a lot about is that a website doesn't equal an effective website. A website doesn't equal an effective website. And to put it in your language for everybody who's on the call, it's a little bit like a pension doesn't equal an effective pension. So if I am mid-50s, I've just auto-enrolled myself into a workplace scheme, I'm paying the minimum contribution, and I want to retire in 5 years' time. Well, I have a pension, but that doesn't equal an effective pension or an effective retirement solution. And it's the same with websites. Just because someone has a website doesn't mean it's an effective website. So we need to do more than just tick a box with a website. And that's so much is true with marketing in general, whether it's newsletters or social proof or whatever. We need to do more than just ticking a box. So a website doesn't equal an effective website, which then leads on to the question, well, what does equal an effective website? What does make a great website? And for me, there are 5 things. I'm just going to unpack each of these quickly, and then we're going to come to Ian first of all. So the first thing for me that a great website does is it shows empathy. It empathizes with the reasons that somebody is on your website. And somebody is on your website because they have a trigger. And that trigger is a problem that they want to solve or an aspiration they want to achieve. So when they hit your website, they want to know whether you are the expert that's going to help solve that problem or achieve that aspiration. So we need to show them that you are, assuming you are, the right person to solve that trigger and that they found the right place. And finally, that you are the expert for people like them. People need to feel at home, feel comfortable when they hit your website. And part of that for me is showcasing people, not products. We've all seen websites where it says we do savings, pensions, investments, ISAs, life insurance, that sort of stuff. For me, we need to showcase people and not products. A better way of doing it. And those people, as we move on to number 2, should be real people. Now, if anybody's read Donald Miller's Building a Story Brand, looks like Ian's read it. Ian smiled then. If anybody's read that, Donald Miller talks about showcasing 2 groups of people, heroes and guides. Now, I realize this sounds a little bit strange. It's on Ian's shelf behind it. Sounds a little bit strange. When you break it down and move away from the marketing waffle, heroes are your clients. Heroes are the people that you serve and you help to produce better outcomes. And we're going to look at how some of the guys on the call showcase heroes on their website a little bit later. I think, Paul, your site does that incredibly well. There's a variety of ways of showcasing heroes. But client testimonial videos are a very, very good way of doing it. And we also need to showcase guides. Now, the guides are the people that take the heroes from where they are now to where they want to be. And that means it's the financial advisors, the financial planners in the business, but other people involved in the relationship as well. It might be administrators, it might be power planners. But really important that we get real people front and center on your website, on the homepage, on their own sections, and then throughout the site. So many reasons for doing that. And then if we're showcasing real people, we're also trying to impress real people, the visitors that come onto the page. And that means we need social proof. And social proof should be scattered around the website. If anybody's on the call, on the meeting, going to own up to having a testimonials page on the website, stick something in the chat. But testimonial pages are largely pointless. Between 1% and 2% of all visitors to a website go and look at a testimonials page. Much better way of doing it, scatter the social proof around the website. So somebody sees it, your visitors see it wherever they go. Put it a slightly different way. If you scroll down your Facebook feed, it's not a really nice, clean feed of people you know. It's full of adverts and sponsored links, etc. So those adverts and sponsored links interrupt your scrolling. You can't avoid seeing them. And that's what we need to do with social proof on websites. We need to scatter it all around so people see it wherever they go, and we don't just rely on them hitting one page to go and find it. Types of social proof: Google reviews, vouched for reviews, client survey results, client testimonial videos. And they're what I call advisor-driven or client-driven social proof. They're all about clients. We then have advisor-driven social proof or firm-driven social proof, whichever you prefer. And that's things like awards, qualifications, accreditations. If you're mentioned in the press, that's another type of social proof. So what we need to do for the numbers 3 and 4 of the 5 things that make a great website is get on here, advisor and firm-driven social proof. And we'll have a look at how the websites that we're reviewing today do that shortly. And then we need to get calls to action right. And there are a couple of calls to action, a couple of types of call to action we need on websites and throughout our marketing. And again, the Donald Miller book is a good reference for this. So, bit of theory. Around 97% of people are not in market for a product or service at any one time. Around 3% are. And that means we need different calls to action. We need a direct call to action, which might be a contact form, an email address, telephone number, or a meeting booking system. And some of the websites from memory use that we're going to review today. And that's a direct call to action for people who are ready to immediately get in touch with an advisor or planner and start their journey. We then need a transitional call to action for the people in the 97% who have interest, curiosity, but have a lower level of intent. And those transitional calls to action might be webinars that people can sign up for, might be newsletter sign-ups, might be guides and white papers they can download. A scorecard would be a good example of a transitional calls to action as well. So we need to have direct calls to action and transitional calls to action on websites to cater for the different needs of people that are in market and those people who are not in market at any one time. So for me, those are 5 things that make a great website. We can also talk about really nice design, really great prose on the website, good imagery, good photography, etc. But I could have carried on for a long time, and I want to get to the websites that we're going to review today. So I don't know if anybody's got any questions about that, Dan. I saw somebody maybe raise their hand.
All we've got is James in the chat leaning very much into the safe space that we've created and saying guilty as charged about that testimonials page on the website. So well done, James, for owning up.
Yeah, thank you for being the only one honest enough to say you've got a testimonials page on your website. I'm sure there are other people as well. So let's go into this yardstick first and see how this works. So 3 websites to review. And what we're going to do is break this down into what I think works well and what I would recommend changing if Paul, Ian, or Alifa came to me and said, how would you review this website? So we're going to start with Work to Live, financial planning. We're then going to go into Bainley Drake, and then we're going to finish with Chiltern Hills. So this is the most nerve-wracking part. Well, I need to take this screen share down and put up another screen share with the websites on. So let's just see how we get on here. We did try this earlier, so let's see how we're going to do. We can still see the PowerPoint there, can't we? Let me get that down. Right, can we see the Work to Live website?
Yes.
That wasn't bad, was it?
Seamless.
Thank you, Dan. Right, Ian. I spent some time on your website at the weekend, so your Google Analytics will probably have risen. Just talk a little bit about the history of the website, Ian, if you would. How old is it, etc.?
I've had it, well, about 5 years, and it got rejigged, I think, around sort of September, October time. I'm probably one of those people that's very guilty of constantly rejigging my website and then having it sometimes look like a bit of a mismatch. I've basically changed a lot of the messaging and who I'm targeting over the last sort of month or two. So again, some of the language has changed, which has required some extra stuff to be added. So I'd like to say I've probably got like a bit of a love-hate relationship with my website. Like sometimes I think, yeah, this is really, really good. And then other times I think that just doesn't kind of work. Which I guess is probably usual for most people. I guess the danger is that you just keep tinkering with it.
I think you're right, but it's finding a balance between tinkering and then letting it go for a bit to see how it performs. So as I said, I've broken this feedback down into what I think is good and what I would change. But if anybody in the chat wants to challenge my views or add some of their own, then absolutely do it. So I thought on the really positive list, Ian, when I was looking at it, it feels really warm, friendly, and inviting. Now, I loved how your personality shines through from the page. I thought that was fabulous. I really like some of the language used on the site as well. The text, the words, I thought that was great. And again, it's very specific about who you are working with. So above the fold, and the fold, for anybody who's interested in the jargon, is the bottom of your screen. Above the fold, and the fold is in different places on different screen sizes. You've got a line here, Ian, that shows very quickly who you work with. And it looks very deliberate that you've put that there to show people as soon as they hit the website whether you are right for them or not. Is that fair, Ian?
Yeah, that's I was smiling with the story. So the idea is to try and have a bit of that story brand, how they would do kind of the website and that side of it. So yeah, just trying to be really clear on it.
And then again, straight immediately below that, you have got 2 calls to action there. Yeah, you've got your book, your free clarity call, and then you've got your Work to Live alignment scorecard. If I click that, I'm going out probably into a score app domain or something like that. I'm going into a scorecard. Yeah, out from the website. Hopefully everyone can see that. And then book your free clarity call. And that takes me out to Calendly, which seems to be a favorite of people to be able to book websites too. So I really love the 2 calls to action there that you have side by side. Then also on your services page, if I find that there, I love this. Yeah, who it's for, who it's not for. Yeah, I thought that was really clear. I think Nick Lincoln does this on his website as well, but you don't see it very often. And I do love it where you're showing absolutely you're right for us if you're in this list. We're not right for you, or you're not right for us if you're in this list. And I think that works really well for you. What was your reason for putting that on there, Ian?
Yeah, I think just to kind of make sure people understand what it's about and the whole feel of the website is obviously the life first, kind of money second thing, and just to almost sort of get people to self-select a little bit on that side of it. Obviously, the danger is that when you do something like that, you feel like you're going to be putting people off who might be an all right kind of fit, but hopefully it doesn't kind of do that.
And when you're getting new inquiries coming in, do you feel that has a benefit of those 2 lists on the website?
It's fairly recent on that. I would say typically the leads that I do get in tend to be quite good fits and sort of hit the demographic. I'm active on LinkedIn, so I think most of them kind of come from LinkedIn. Probably have a little check of the website and then kind of go from there.
Okay. And I love here how you're really upfront with the fee that people pay for your signature reset. I thought that was really good. And I suspect, I might be wrong, frequently am, but I suspect there is going to be, or there is a movement towards more people putting fees on websites, more advisors and planners putting fees on websites. Certainly something like someone like Marcus Sheridan talks about. I think, Ian, I might be inclined to then say, look, there's other fees on an ongoing basis if people want to take an ongoing service. So someone can see everything that you charge.
Yeah, it is actually on there now. I think when you maybe checked it, for some reason it disappeared.
Okay. No worries. And I really like this as well. Only 3 spaces per month. I think that provides a bit of reassurance for some people that you're not just trying to build a massive business. I really, really like that. So a few things I would personally change about this site. Hopefully everyone who's on here has taken away some ideas about best practice. A few things that I would change. I thought the opening text, the 3 lines, create a life, helping successful professionals and a life filled with, just felt a little wordy to me.
Yeah.
I would maybe reduce that down a little bit to 1 heading and 1 subheading. And then I would love to have on this page, maybe on the first scroll, maybe on the second scroll, a section that introduces you. I know you've got the picture here, which I assume 2 happy clients, as opposed to just random people just pulled off the street. But I would love to see on here a section introducing you. You are the people's guide in here. You are the people that they're going to trust. You're the person that they're going to tell a lot of personal things to. I would love to have a specific section on here that says meet Ian. I think that would work. That would work well. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Ian.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because I think that comes down to obviously positioning yourself as a guide and the hero, and the worry is like, oh, look at me, I'm kind of front and center rather than the people. So that was probably why I've not gone down that route. And obviously on the about, there's much more about Ian. I'm not kind of opposed to it, but it's quite interesting that you sort of have that so high up to sort of introduce myself rather than kind of focus on the clients, if you want, or potential clients.
Yeah, and just to be clear, you are the guide here. Clients are the heroes, and we need both on the page. But we do want people to get to know you and to meet you.
Yeah.
This is a little bugbear of mine. I don't know how, I feel like this, how Dan feels about justified text. Yeah. And what we have here is, and you can see maybe this is because of tinkering that's gone on the site, a few changes. We have some text that is in sentence case and some text that is in capital case. So here, you can see this here, that is in sentence case. That is in capital case. So you've got a capital letter at the every word there and a lowercase at the start of most words there. So I would just be consistent on the site. Yeah, if it was me, I'd be consistent with that style there rather than the capital case. Because there's some theory around capital case that it does put people off, make it harder to read, and can come across sometimes as a little bit shouty.
Yeah, I think the challenge is figuring out how you do it on Webflow.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a way of doing it, but
fair point. Then I would probably change the order on the homepage a little bit. I'd reduce the length. And by the way, Ian, and everybody else on the call, I'm happy to send my notes across rather than you having to make notes now. But I think I'd probably change the order a little bit and reduce the length. So this section, trusted by successful professionals, I'd potentially move down the page a little bit. I'd remove this slider here because it just felt to me, personal opinion only, felt to me as though it was a little bit of a barrier to coming down the rest of the page. It's a full width slider. just felt a little bit of a barrier to me there. I would then, again, remove this section. I just didn't think it added anything. And I would swap the written testimonials, which are further down the page, I go with client testimonial videos. Yeah. So you've got, where are we? Yeah, here we go. We've got these written testimonials. I'd love to see those turned into client testimonial videos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that will be incredibly powerful. And if you're on LinkedIn, you do some great videos on LinkedIn, Ian. Love the things that you do side by side. I think they're great. Yeah, I would be getting some client testimonial videos on there. The little practical things that I would do, again, to help people move around. So what I do here, I think I would change the about to meet Ian. Just be really clear, yeah, of who you are. Yeah, be loud and proud that you are a small business helping other people. And I would have meet Ian there. I think that would increase maybe the traffic to that page. And then there's a couple of areas where I would just focus on a little bit of detail. Yeah, the odd typo here, but that's here and there. And I'll send you them privately, Ian, if that's okay. But I think it's worth just making sure that the little details are right. And I saw this down the bottom here. There's a couple of broken links down the bottom. Yeah. But I completely get that it's not necessarily the easiest thing in the world to do when you're managing it yourself. And then finally, I would do a bit of an audit on the website and just try and reduce the amount of stuff on there.
Yeah, no, I think I'm always of the opinion, ironically, that less is more, but the website doesn't quite feel like, because you kind of add it in and you feel like, oh, actually, no, I want to have that, and I want to have that in, and almost kind of give kind of too much. And I think it could be slimmed down. And again, on the homepage, that kind of, there's the 3 steps, because that's again a story brand thing. You have the 3 kind of clear steps, but whether to switch that out with, well, actually, this is the 4 steps of the service process that you get to, again, just to sort of help slim it down a little bit. And
for me, be really self-critical. And if there's something on the website, ask, what's it there for? Does it actually need to be there? And you can also make it a little bit easier and reduce page length by splitting pages out. So for example, this page here, the What We Do page, I would split this out into several different pages. Yeah. You've got How We're Different. That's almost a page on its own. The benefits of working with you. And I love this. What you walk away with. I thought that was really cool. That again is almost a page on its own. Then Who We Work With is a separate section. So for me, I think there are some pages, and I could keep going. There are some pages where actually it might benefit you to break those down. Yeah. And have that less is more on individual pages. But I thought there was a lot to love about the site. Love the way you interact with your site and you try and improve it as well. And hopefully that's given you a few things that you might want to go away and work on and change. And I'll ping you my notes through as well, Ian, before the call.
No, that's great. Yeah.
Ian, anything to say on what I've said there?
No, I think, yeah, I'd agree with pretty much everything that you said. It's just, it's the main thing for me is having that feel of that approach and that sort of brand and that personality kind of come through. Is kind of the most important thing. But yeah, it definitely could, I think, be slimmed down. I think that's a confidence thing of that, having that less is more, and that it's clear. Because I know if I go on websites, I like it, you know, kind of nice and simple and easy to do. And again, with that fees thing that you've mentioned, there's nothing worse than we're really transparent and open about our fees, and then there's nothing there. Not just on like advisor sites, like on anything, like had it with some admin things, and you're like, well, I just want to know how much it is because I want to know if it's in the ballpark of what I want to do. So yeah,
that's a Marcus Sheridan line, in the ballpark. Yeah. Ian, thank you so much for doing that and being a good sport. Charlotte, just want to deal with your question about client videos, client testimonial videos. Abby's already spoken about it a little bit there. For me, and Charlotte's question was, is there a tried and tested way to ask clients to do testimonial videos so they feel comfortable with the idea? in my experience, if you ask the right clients in the right way, you will get enough to do a set of videos. So hopefully it's that you've just asked the wrong people so far, or maybe not in the optimum way. As Abby says, we do have a template email that you can use to ask, and that's proven really, really successful. If you'd rather pick the phone up and ask, then you can use that template as a script. Yeah, and Abby's put it in there.
Sorry, Phil, there's up, mate. Can I just jump in on that? Because obviously you do like the great client testimonials, and there'll be people at different kind of revenue streams, but people starting out, I found, and I do have one that needs to be put on the website, to send them the question so they can basically answer the question, do a minute video, and then you clip it together, rather than just saying, can you do me a video testimonial? Actually worked quite well with one of them, and said it was much easier to do it because I think it probably was your questions to kind of ask them, and it did work really well.
Yeah, good. Right, thank you for that, Ian. Alifa, you're up. Tell us a bit about this website, mate, please, and just the history of it, if that's okay.
So yeah,
can you hear us, Alifa?
just about. Yeah, go on. Sorry, say it again.
Yeah, just tell us a bit about the history of the website.
Right.
Mate.
So this is, I think, the second iteration or third iteration of the website. I think it's basically provided by a network, and then we've added some extra bits here and there. I read StoryBrand and fell down the rabbit hole on some podcasts about it. So we've tried to add a few little bits that we took from there into the website over the last few years.
And how easy or hard have you found it to manage the template?
So this comes from our network. They sort of we've outsourced this to our network, who I'm guessing this is just like a standard template they use. So I imagine one of the downsides of our website is that you probably see many that have got this kind of layout or a variation of it.
Yeah. Okay. So what do I like about it when I was sat looking at it in a Nero on Saturday morning? I think for me, it does a decent job empathizing with visitors above the fold. It talks about who you work with. Can't highlight it on there. Oh, it's flipped over. It does a decent job on the slider of explaining who you work with. Do your clients mostly live and work in London?
No, they don't. This has been pointed out to me before.
You can see where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
Looking at the addresses of the business, they weren't central London. So for me, I mean, you're pretty close. You're pretty close to London. Yeah. But for me, I would be putting pictures on websites that resonate with the people that are visiting it. And I can remember we worked with one client who was from a sleepy Wiltshire village, and they got a big picture of the Gherkin on their website, yet they wanted people within about a 5-mile radius of their office. And you're pretty close to London, so it might resonate. But again, I think with imagery really does need to resonate with the person that is hitting the website. And there's all sorts of ways of doing that. But geography can work, or it can be off-putting. So I just have a think about the images on the site. I thought this, as you scroll down, again, you've got a picture of is that Waterloo Bridge, somewhere like that? Anyway, you've got a picture of London. So again, I think about changing that. You've got that direct call to action there with book a call, which is really nice. Might take a leaf out of Ian's book and put a transitional call to action there with a guide, a newsletter sign up, that sort of thing. And I am giving ideal world solutions here that might not be available within the template. So I do absolutely recognize that. And so adding a transitional call to action, I think, is worth doing. I personally would take off the LinkedIn link there. I much prefer social media to be either entirely self-contained. So we see more things on LinkedIn like no link posts. So much potentially really contained on the social media platform, or using social media to drive people to your website. I won't do it now, but if I click the LinkedIn link there, it will take me through to your LinkedIn page. But at the top of your LinkedIn page, I will also see any outstanding messages and notifications on my LinkedIn account. And that could put me off. So for me, I would take off the LinkedIn link there. What else did I put on here? If I scroll down, love this. You're showing people a plan. You're showing people the different stages. You've got 3, but you're showing people the different stages of working with you. And again, one of the things in StoryBrand talked about is showing people that you have a plan for them. Really, really important. For me then, I wouldn't be talking about services at this point. I'd be talking about people. So how important to you, Alifa, is auto-enrollment to your business?
We do absolutely 0.
So it's the first thing on your services list, and that's because it's a template. Yeah, that's because it's a template. And templates have to basically take a route of compromise. And it's why we don't do templates at Yardstick, why everything is bespoke. But for me, I think, how much general insurance do you do?
Again, not a lot at all. 1 or 2 policies a year.
So for me, some of the stuff is not particularly relevant. And then it's much better to talk about people, not products. And again, if anybody in the chat is prepared to own up and whether they've got savings, pensions, etc. on their websites, I'd be really interested there. But for me, let's talk about people and people at different stages of life. Yeah, you might talk about the fact we work with 50-somethings in the glide path to retirement, at retirement, and post-retirement. That's fine. You might do what Ian did. Was it 40-something professionals? I'm on a meeting this afternoon with a firm that specialises in dentists. Don't work with GPs, don't work with consultants, it's dentists. So much better to showcase people rather than products. The other thing I would add onto the homepage is, you know, I talked about real people, heroes and guides. I'd say that's missing here. Again, last time I said, understand why, if it's a template. But seeing your team's smiling face, yeah, group shots of you together, client testimonial videos, even images of clients. Ian, you've got an image of you and your clients in their kitchen, I think it was. Even that would be better. So for me, I would be adding on here heroes, your clients, guides, your team, and social proof. I think we can elevate the level of social proof here above just a few testimonials. So I'm not sure if you've on Vouch4. I think I saw some Google reviews while I was doing a little bit of research into this prior to the webinar. And again, embedding those onto the site would work really nicely as well. Any thoughts on what I said on the team page there? Sorry, on the home page before I go to the team page.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff is stuff that I've heard before or read before. It's just, this is website's been neglected, I think. It's not something we've focused on, which is perhaps a mistake.
I think you've got some easy wins though. I think you've got some easy wins. Then I would, on the team page, and this will be probably the second most popular page on the site. The order of popularity on pages on websites is generally, not always, generally the home page. And then in second or third place, and they alternate between the two, would be a team page, and if it's there, a fees page, because people are interested. So if you're looking for quicker wins and to be able to prioritize, I would be looking at homepage, fees page, and team page. Fees page if you've got one. Clearly, if you don't, then you can't. But for me, what I would be doing here, because it's a really important page, I would improve the consistency of the imagery. So a new photo shoot. Let's get you guys out together, smiling at the camera, out and about, with a new photo shoot. I think that would work really, really well. And then potentially could get you some shots of you guys together, and they could be used elsewhere in the website. So if anybody wants to go and look at a website that we built and launched maybe 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, perhaps Abby can look for the link. Cesta, C-E-C-E-S-T-A, Cesta Financial Planning. 3 guys in the business, and they've got some lovely photography on their website. So go and have a look at that. I don't know if this is the entire team of the business, or if there other people in the business that aren't on here.
Yeah, there's like another 4 to add.
Was it a conscious decision not to put other people on, or?
No, it's just they came on board after the website was last updated. Not got around to putting them on.
Yeah, fair enough. So I would put those on there. Yeah, I'd showcase all the guides in your business. I would also give everybody, Simon and yourself and others, I give them their own sub page as well. So everybody has their own individual page on the site. Helps your SEO. It allows you to get more information onto the page than just what we got, 4 or 5 paras there. It allows you to put things like contact details on, social proof. So Simon might have some vouch for reviews that we can share. So again, I would be really focusing on the team section here and trying to build that up. Then a couple of other little reasonably quick wins. Chartered financial planner feels like a good thing, but let's explain to visitors what it means and why it sets Simon apart. So there's a couple of ways of doing that. One of the really nice ways of doing it is if someone hovers over chartered, a little box comes up that explains how being chartered separates Simon apart and how it benefits, perhaps more importantly, even how it benefits the people he works with. So team page I'd focus on. I'd also focus on the services page. Personally, I would take the services down and change it with the type of people that you work with. And then I would take the testimonials page down for the reasons I've spoken about before. And then I would scatter social proof throughout the website. So advisor-driven social proof that we talked about before, that would, as I say, be things like awards, accreditations, press mentions, etc. And then client-driven social proof, videos, Google reviews, voucher reviews, client survey results, that sort of stuff. I would scatter those around the website. And then finally, I would just simplify the navigation a bit. This is the template. Alpha causing this problem, but news, media, content, and insights, I just put all those into one place if I could. So thank you for being such a good sport. Just give us a bit of feedback on what I've said there.
Yeah, I think most of this is stuff that I've heard before or read or watched a video saying I should be doing things that you're saying. It's just a case that we've not given the website the attention that it probably deserves.
Yeah, and that's why I made the point at the start of the webinar about why this is important. And you don't know the clients, or financial advisors, planners don't know the clients they never had, because the prospectors looked at the website and decided to look elsewhere. So hopefully that's given you a few ideas, and everybody else, of things that maybe you should change. And then if other people are making the same mistakes on their website, they can change those as well. Thank you for being such a good sport. I really appreciate that. Paul, last but definitely not least, tell us a bit about this website, Paul.
Yeah, so it was first built 4.5 years ago, which is when Chiltern Hills was founded. And we've updated it once, which was after getting a lot of video content done. It was built by my brother-in-law, who is he's mainly actually an animation specialist and graphic designer, but like we helped kind of pull together the copy, and he pulled together the website.
And did he do these graphics kind of on the bottom right-hand corner of the website?
It was, so the graphics is, so we're actually we're piggybacking on a piece of work that was from a previous business, and the previous business, like we spent quite a lot of time in kind of, articulating our value. And there were two different routes. So one was live differently, and the other was see the road ahead. So they came up with two different color schemes, two different, it was like a brand personality. So I used the work from that, and the idea behind the line drawings was, I mean, you see them all the time now. I feel like I was duped, but the story goes, as soon as Pampers got rid of photos of babies and just put an outline, their sales went hugely up because like people imagine the own babies in the outline, whereas you see a photo, it's someone else's baby. So the idea with the line drawings is that you fill in the blanks yourself.
Ah, clever, clever. Right, so I sat again reviewing this on Saturday, and what did I think was good? So I thought above the fold that you explain your ethos really well, Paul. I do think, though, it might be worth reviewing the text. It feels a little bit we-centric. So each of the 4 sentences above the fold start with the word we, and it just feels a little bit about you. Let's make it a little bit more about the people that are on the website. And then as you scroll down, love the videos. You clearly have invested a considerable amount of time, effort, possibly blood, sweat and tears on the videos. And I love that. I think that works really well. And for me, separates the site out from most other advisor and planner websites that we see. Because not only have you got videos about you and the team, you've also got your client videos on there as well. So I love that. Love the fact as well, you've got this plan. You talk about the plan here and how you work with people. You show that you have a plan for them. And that's going to give them confidence. As I scroll down, you then talk about who you serve, again, putting people before products. I think that works brilliantly. And then I love this. Click on this. And then we've got a video. Not sure that lady's name. We've got a video. And then I click on that. And I love that really personal call to action. Sounds like me. I thought that was fabulous, Paul. And so the videos are great. I would potentially put those a bit further up the page. Yeah, I think they deserve more prominence on the page. And likewise, I think your team deserve more prominence on the page. So I might be inclined to jig the order and just lead with real people and then put the plan below it. Yeah, for me, it's maybe all the right, what's that Morecambe and Wise thing? All the right notes, just in the wrong order, or something along those lines. But I thought that the homepage was great, and this is fabulous. A higher level of expertise. Again, I've never seen that before. I think that's a little bit of genius, and will appeal to people who they're looking for that. Now, not everybody is, and those people who aren't, the videos will appeal to them. But I thought that was a little bit of genius. I love that. So was that your idea, Paul?
The pyramid was, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great
Yeah,
idea.
visual. I mean, but we are, we've got master's degrees, CFP, so it is the level 7.
Yeah, really like that. And then you've got the direct call to action. You've got the direct call to action there. Again, people can book straight into the diary. I clicked it. I didn't book a meeting with you, Paul, but I clicked it. It all worked lovely. It looks great.
Well, you mean Mickey Mouse is not a real person?
No, I was Donald Duck at the weekend, so that's somebody else, mate. And then things that I would change. I'm not entirely convinced about the 3 levels of navigation. So we've got a line there of navigation. We've got a line there, and then we've got a line there. Some of it's duplicated, like our team. And I get that this is taking me down the page. I get that's taking me down the page. And I'm just not entirely convinced, but I could absolutely be wrong. So what I would do here, you might have already done it, but I would add a tool called Hotjar onto your website. And Hotjar records people's visits, or more accurately, it records their mouse as people are moving the mouse around the website. And you can actually watch a recording. If you've got Hotjar on here right now, you could watch a recording of me moving the mouse around and navigating the site. And it's quite interesting watching individual videos. But what's really interesting with Hotjar is when those videos are overlaid onto each other and create heat maps that show where people click around the website. And for me, those heat maps will be invaluable in understanding how people interact with these 3 levels of navigation. So I'd add Hotjar on here, or get your developers to do that. Personally, again, it's a tiny little point, but your logo, when I scroll down, can we see how the logo changes?
Yeah, it changes to CHFP. Yeah.
Yeah, I would keep the same logo on. I just make it a bit smaller. Yeah, I keep the whole logo on there. So we remind people where they are. Just felt we got a little bit lost when we did that. Again here, this is on me, but I would be consistent between capital case and sentence case. There's a couple of examples of where we switch. I'd add a transitional call to action into the site, so that making that a little bit more obvious. And then there was somewhere on the site, I forget exactly where it was, but you talked about booking a consultation. Yeah. So this call to action here, where's it gone? Here we go. Who we serve. That sounds like me. That feels like a really warm, welcoming call to action. I'm not sure consultation is necessarily equally warm and fuzzy. So I would think about that. Then where do I find your client videos or client stories? They're there, aren't they? So hopefully we can see the stories starting up. And I think there's more that can be done here. I love the fact that you've got these. It looked a nice sunny day. Where were you, Paul, when these were filmed?
Ashridge House. It's not a castle, but it's the most castle-like non-castle you can possibly imagine. It's an old Henry VIII, one of his old houses.
Very nice. Well, I love the videos. It looked like a really nice sunny day. But I think if it was me, I would suggest making more of the videos. I would have, and I don't think you've got this, a sub page for each video. So video 1 gets a page, video 2 gets a page, video 3 gets a page, etc. And if you do that, there's a few benefits. The first is you can put a transcript of the video and what they're saying onto the page, and that will help with your SEO. I'd also consider adding subtitles. And if you have your own individual page for each video, it makes it easier to link to, Paul, from social media, etc. But I would make sure each of those has their own individual page. I would also add, because again, I think it will help your SEO, and I think it will help people learn more about how they can work with you. On these pages here, so ambitious business owner, that text is quite small. I would link that through to a page that explains how you work with ambitious business owners, how you work with motivated professionals, and how you work with people about becoming financially free. And that means you can get more information on the page. You can show them, Paul, the problems that you help people in those categories solve, the aspirations that they have, show how you help with them, show the proof that you help with them, which is the video, and then give them the calls to action. So I would add a couple more pages in there. But for me, you're building on a 7, 8 out of 10 to take this website even higher. You've looked as though you've really spent a lot of time investing in this website, and you've taken it really seriously. I think there's a lot of really good stuff on there.
Thank you. I think the video content we've got professionally done. Like, we spent money on that, but I think the main thing in the videos is the ones where the client's got a story to tell. So that it is the kind of, like, they are transformational stories. I think the first ones that we did, we tried to focus on our ideal client, which is someone who's approaching retirement, who's generally been successful, so has liquid wealth, or is likely to have very soon, But then the later ones we focused on like maximum emotional impact. You know, so it was just trying to focus on getting people to tell their story where, you know, something horrendous has happened, or you know, it's more kind of helping tell this. There's a stronger emotional story. That's what we focused on in the later ones.
Yeah, I love them. I thought they were great. I think the website's excellent. And as I say, it shows how much you've invested in it. So before we wrap up, question time for everybody. Hopefully you can see the PowerPoint again. Dan's going to give me the thumbs up or the thumbs down to say that you can see the PowerPoint. Yeah, thank you, Dan. Right, in the chat, everybody, do you feel better or worse about your website after this session? Do you feel better or worse about your website after this session? And I'd be really interested to see how people feel about that. I'm going to come back to the answers in a second. Abby, would you talk about the next webinar that we've got?
I can do that. And top communication there, Phil, which I believe will be a topic of conversation next month. So yes, next month we are back to guests. I appreciate we've had some bonus guests this month, but in terms of the schedule we're following this year, it's Phil plus guest in June, and it'll be Ed Darling next month, who is co-founder of Project Charisma. So if the name doesn't give you any clues, he has spent a decade coaching business owners, execs, and wider teams to present with clarity, with more authority, and of course, with more charisma. So we all spend a massive amount of time communicating, and Ed's going to explain how we can do it more effectively. Hopefully the QR code works. I did check it this morning, but I will include a link in the follow-up email this afternoon as well. But yeah, looking forward to that one. Hope to see you all there. And yes, thank you, Phil. That was very good timing. If you would like to pay us, as it were, for today's session, because we don't charge, of course, for any of our webinars, we would massively appreciate a Google review. It should only take you a couple of minutes, if that, depending on how much detail you want to give us. But yeah, we've got quite an ambitious target this year, and it's just really nice to practice what we preach and get some public appreciation and feedback on what we do so we can make the sessions better in the future. So I'll put the link in the follow-up email. I won't put it in the chat, so it looks like there's a lot going on in there at the minute. But yeah, if you would be kind enough to leave us a review, we would really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Abby. Right, so what did people put then in the chat about, and answer the question, do you feel better or worse about your website? Better, better, better. That's good. Worse? Better, better, worse, much worse, sorry. Worse, worse, better, a little, maybe a 6 now, but can also see lots of areas to focus on improving. Pleased about that, because that's what we want people to come out with today, areas where they can improve. Feel inspired, you can see what changes I need to make. I like that. Thank you for that, Lauren. Slightly better, worse, interesting. So I won't do a commercial break, but if anybody does want to talk about their website, give us a shout, get in touch with me or Abby. Dan, shall we finish off with any final questions before we take our leave?
Yes, please. So we have a few, a couple around videos. Let's do those. So a while ago, Phil asked, when introducing who you are and how you work, what are your thoughts around doing short video clips as opposed to just text and photos, or a combination? Is it similar to testimonials in that videos are more powerful?
I think it's very difficult to know whether videos are more powerful than text, because you don't necessarily know how the person watching or reading it likes to receive the communication. So for me, if you can, I would try and touch more bases and turn written text into videos, videos into written text, and then see what works, see what gets more engagement, and follow the evidence.
Brilliant, thanks. A quick question from Ben, who says, apologies, I came in late. Will you upload the recording somewhere? I can answer that one, Ben. Yes, we will. So an email follow-up with the recording of this session will be making its way to you later today. So you'll be able to catch up in your own time. Still on the subject of videos, an anonymous attendee, all mysterious, asks, for videos on websites, what are your views on professionally shot, i.e. expensive, time-consuming, but look great, as opposed to self-made, i.e. authentic, more can be made, but the quality is not guaranteed?
I'm not sure it's a binary choice between the two. I put something in the middle. So if you There are pros and cons for different ways of doing it. We offer 2 ways of doing it. One where we will come out and do a face-to-face shoot. It's more expensive, but you get more professionally shot footage. The second option, which we introduced during COVID for obvious reasons, is where we will record the footage, and you asking the same questions, but we record the footage remotely. So we're in our office, the client's in their home, and we record using a combination of their phone and Zoom. And that works really well. And one of the great things about that is it reduces the price point. We do those for $349 plus VAT per video. And it reduces the price point, which makes client testimonial videos more accessible. So for me, I would go with one of those 2, and you kind of pay as your money takes your choice. To give you an example, probably 90% of our videos, client testimonial videos, are recorded in that way remotely, maybe 10% face-to-face.
Brilliant, thanks. Penultimate question from Ian, and this is panelist Ian, not Ian in the audience. How many transitional calls to actions would you have, as you could do a scorecard, newsletter, webinars, etc.?
So I would always put them side by side. Yeah, so you've got a direct call to action and a transitional call to action, and then I'd try different things. Yeah, I'd try and see what works. So, for example, in my Yardstick website, we get many more people completing our scorecards than we do signing up to the newsletter. So, for me, I think transitional calls to action are about how you can deliver value. And if you're delivering value with a guide, a white paper, or a scorecard, you're delivering value almost immediately in because someone can get it straight away. With a newsletter, there is delayed gratification there because the next newsletter won't come out until a week later, 2 weeks, a month later. So for me, it's not necessarily about the number, it's about the type. But I wouldn't have too many because you might confuse people. And I play around with different types, but I would probably focus more on the transitional calls to action where they get immediate value.
Brilliant, thanks, Phil. And then final question from Louis, nice easy one. What is SEO?
SEO is search engine optimization. It's my fault. I shouldn't have assumed everyone knows what SEO is. Apologies. So search engine optimization, basically making sure that you rank as high as possible on the Google search results for given search terms. So in this case, it might be financial advisor near me, financial planner Nottingham, for example. For some firms, it's really important. For other firms, much, much less so. But that's what search engine optimization is. And we will, as we move through this year, next year, and in future years, we will have AIO, AI optimization. Yeah. And that's where, again, hoping that things like ChatGPT and others, when people type questions in there, again, it's about optimizing the answers and making sure that you're mentioned there. Right. Are we good for questions, Dan?
Yeah, we certainly are. That's your lot.
Cool. Ian, Alifa, Paul, thank you again for being good sports. We couldn't have done this without you. Abby, thank you for organising it and getting our willing volunteers along. I hope you guys have had some value out of it and some ideas. I'll ping you my notes through so you can see them. Dan, thank you. Abby, thank you. Everybody else, thank you. We'll see you again next time for a great session with Ed. I saw him speak at the PFS. He's fabulous. Go and sign up for that. Cheers, everybody.
Thanks, Phil.
Take care, guys. Bye.